Chapter 26 The Breaking Point. As Scare, the reborn valley of Kalia, the collision of light and shadow, had turned the once verdant valley into a smoking crater of chaos. Trees lay shattered and burning. The ground was scorched black in wide arcs where divine powers had clashed. Knights had fallen, but the battlefield glowed with unnatural light bursts of holy white fire warring against writhing tendrils of darkness. Kale and Zarek circled each other at the heart of the devastation, their boots crunching over broken stone and charred earth. Every swing of Kale's sword unleashed flashes of pure white light, but black veins now crawled visibly up his arms like living tattoos. Pulsing with each strike, the corruption was spreading. Zarek laughed through the blood on his split lip, his crimson eyes gleaming with wicked pleasure. "You feel it, don't you, cousin?" he taunted, dodging a sweeping blow. "That hunger, that beautiful, honest hunger gnawing at your soul? The light was always a lie, a pretty cage." He slammed a fist into his own chest with a dull metallic thud. "This is truth, raw, free, powerful." "Shut up," Kale roared, his voice cracking with fury and fear. He unleashed a concentrated beam of divine light straight at Zarek's chest. Zarek absorbed the blast with a guttural grunt. His black armor glowed red-hot, steam hissing from the seams before it rapidly cooled. With a vicious grin, he countered by lashing out with a whip of pure darkness. The shadow coiled around Kale's leg like a living serpent and yanked him violently off his feet, slamming him into the ground. Nearby, Illyria lay on the blood-soaked earth, cradled gently by two silver guard angels. Her once radiant golden glow had dimmed to a faint, flickering shimmer. Glowing golden blood pooled beneath her, steaming slightly in the cool night air. The Red Wizard's distant ritual continued its merciless work, invisible hooks tearing at her divine essence. Seraphiel stood over her like an unbreakable wall, his blazing silver blade held high. Blood, both red and silver, trickled from multiple wounds across his armor. "My lady?" he urged, voice tight with desperation. "We cannot hold this position much longer." The shadow-sworn numbers swell by the minute. More portals open with every breath. Illyria reached up with a trembling, blood-slicked hand and touched his gauntlet, leaving a luminous smear on the metal. "Then save the mortals," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Get them out. I will. Buy you time." "No!" Kale shouted from where he lay, still struggling against the shadow whip that pinned him. "Mother, don't." Too late. With a final, agonizing cry, Illyria forced herself to her knees. Her entire body shook as she slammed both palms into the torn earth. A massive ring of golden light exploded outward in a perfect, radiant circle. Every mortal in the Vitter, terrified farmers, wounded soldiers, sobbing children was lifted gently into the air, wrapped in protective bubbles of warm creation magic. The wave washed over the Silver Guard as well, knitting together their worst wounds and easing their exhaustion. But the cost was devastating. Illyria collapsed completely, her body going limp. The golden light within her flickered like a dying candle in a storm. Zarek's eyes widened with dark, hungry delight. "The mother is down," he bellowed across the battlefield, his voice booming with triumph.
"Take her."
"Bring me the goddess." Nyctopia Obsidian Sanctum. Lord Malazan threw his head back in ecstasy, his skeletal fingers twitching within the pulsing ritual circle. The sacrificial girl's body lay drained and shriveled on the altar. "She is breaking," he screamed in rapture. "Her divine essence floods into our vessels. At this rate, we will have enough power to unbind half the Greylands and shatter the veil itself." Zarek's voice echoed from the blood mirror, cold and triumphant. "Finish it, Malazan. Drain her dry. I want nothing left but an empty, broken shell." "The valley!" Kale shattered the shadow whip with a scream of pure rage. The black veins now crawled across half his face, twisting like roots beneath his skin. For one terrifying heartbeat, his golden eyes flashed a murderous crimson before snapping back. He launched himself through the air to his mother's side, scooping her limp, bleeding body into his arms. A golden ichor soaked his armor and hands. Seraphiel,
he shouted, voice hoarse.
retreat. Get the guard out of here, now. The archangel hesitated only a fraction of a second, his face torn with conflict before roaring the order. Silver guard defensive withdrawal. Protect the prince and the queen. Fight as one. The angels formed a tight, moving phalanx around Kale as he cradled Illyria against his chest. They fought their way toward the distant hills in a desperate, disciplined retreat, holy blades flashing as they cut down any shadow sworn foolish enough to close in. The valley floor behind them was littered with the dead of both sides. Angelic wings torn and broken. Drew corpses sprawled in pale heaps. Zarek did not pursue immediately. He stood motionless amid the carnage, breathing heavily, his gaze fixed on the shining trail of golden blood Illyria had left behind. Soon he whispered to the night wind, a cruel smile curling his lips. Very soon, dear aunt, you will belong to us. Elion the Grand Hall. Azoth felt every drop of his wife's blood as if it were his own. He dropped to one knee before the cracked star throne, clutching his chest with a ganted hand. High above the city, the heart of creation flared a violent, blood red for several agonizing seconds, before slowly returning to its golden hue. Seraphiel's voice crackled through an urgent scrying link, strained and weary. My lord, the queen is gravely wounded. The prince carries her now. We're in full retreat. Azoth's voice came out as a broken, guttural growl. Bring her home. By force if you must. He rose slowly, his massive frame trembling with barely contained power. His eyes burned with a terrifying mixture of fury, fear, and something colder resolve. My wife wanted to play the martyr, he said to the empty hall, his words echoing off the marble walls. Now she will learn what real sacrifice costs. The Silver City trembled as Azoth's full power stirred for the first time since the banishment. Windows rattled. The very air grew heavy with divine wrath.